last policy meeting as Fed chairman, he announced that America's central bank would reduce its stimulus to the US economy by $10 billion. That means they'll just be buying $65 billion a month of bonds every month from now on. Bernanke made no mention of the turmoil this so-called tapering had caused in emerging markets. South Africa, the latest country to see it's raising its interest rates to try to combat the falling value of their currency against the dollar, thought to be connected to this tapering. But we shouldn't expect any change in Federal Reserve policy when it hands over to Janet Yellen on the 1st of February, as Delano D'Souza now explains.
The world's most influential central banker has made his last decision on the job. Ben Bernanke, who helped the world's largest economy from the brink of an abyss, has cut bond purchases by another $10 billion. Quantitative easing will most likely be his biggest legacy. Bernanke took the Fed into uncharted territory with this stimulus measure. QE started as a way to restore confidence. It soon became a tool for stimulating the real economy. And since 2008, the Fed has purchased roughly $3 trillion of mortgage securities and treasury bonds. His latest decision to taper the Fed's monthly bond purchases will no doubt have consequences in emerging markets. Tapering could see cash being sucked out of markets considered risky and move back to the United States. Still, the Fed and Bernanke's successor Janet Yellen are tipped to continue along Bernanke's path.
I think in the United States, the transition from Bernanke to Yellen is not any real change. I think it's perfectly good. I think it's more that the recovery in the U.S. has proven even more resilient than we thought.
How successful Bernanke's legacy is will partly depend on Janet Yellen. Analysts say it could take years to really understand how well he performed.
Now, that decision had sent shares tumbling on Wall Street after the announcement. Not a terribly pretty picture in Asia today either, it has to be said. The Nikkei in Japan closing down 2.45% in today's trading. Nintendo, one of the companies there, in the red, their shares down after their disappointing results reported yesterday. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong also in the red. They're closed now for the Chinese New Year celebrations this weekend. Just the Kospi in the green in Asia, up over 1%.
All right, next, Google is getting out of the mobile handset business, it seems.
Yes, they're selling the Motorola mobility division to the Chinese tech giant Lenovo for $2.91 billion. This after Google bought Motorola back in 2011 for $12 billion. Now, the main reason that it bought them is to get its hands on the 17,000 patents that Motorola holds, mainly for mobile technology. Now, under this deal, it will retain the majority of those patents. Just 2,000 are going to be transferred to Lenovo. Lenovo, for them, it's a good chance for them to get a hold of a revived mobile brand and give them a good foothold in North America. The deal still needs to be approved by regulators in the US and in China, but Lenovo investors not terribly pleased. Their shares down 8% in Hong Kong.
And meanwhile, things are looking up for Facebook.
Yes, the company saw revenues soar by 63% in the last 3 months of 2013 to almost $2.6 billion. For Facebook, the entire year earned them $1.5 billion in profit after the concerns investors had when Facebook launched on the stock exchange over how much money it could make from mobile. In fact, more than half of its revenues last year came from mobile users. The company registered 1.23 billion users in last year. More than 3/4 of them now accessing the social network from their mobile phones.
All right, and the head of the Bank of England seems to have ruffled some feathers in a debate over Scottish independence.
Yeah, Mark Carney was invited to speak to a group of Scottish business people in Edinburgh. He said that an independent Scotland would have to give up some sovereignty if it wanted to maintain a currency union with the rest of the United Kingdom. Now, this was the proposition from the Scottish Government, that they would, if they became independent, would continue to use sterling and retain some of those monetary services from the Bank of England. Mark Carney's message was it might not be that simple, and he said the lesson from the Eurozone was that they needed to maintain political union to try and keep a currency union going. The Scottish people will vote on whether or not they want to become independent on the 18th of September this year.
All right, finally, they may have won several Grammy Awards, but Daft Punk aren't raking in the most dough.
Not in France, anyway. A survey, or research rather, carried out for Challenge magazine here found that the highest individual earning French artist last year was in fact MYLENE Farmer and not Daft Punk. That's mainly because Daft Punk were broken down into two individuals' earnings. So MYLENE Farmer earned €4.7 million after performing 39 live dates, but Daft Punk earned 2.4 million each. So together, I suppose they did still manage to top the bill. But you shouldn't feel too sorry for them, because after the Grammys, their sales spiked and their listens on Spotify went up by 200%.
Maybe they need to do some more tours.
Perhaps.
All right, thanks for that wrap up of the business news, Stephen Carroll. Time to take a look at what's grabbing headlines here in France. For that, I'm joined on set by a press